So moving on here, the Fed, as well as Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, who used to be the chairwoman of the Federal Reserve Bank, they're signaling for higher interest rates to come, which I don't think anybody kind of is surprised by. But they're starting to get a little more firm about it. People thinking they're taking their time, dragging their feet, and they're saying we'll tolerate a period of 4 or 5% inflation to make up for the large amount of employment we had before. Like we'll balance the scales, but inflation is not really a good thing when it gets kind of out of hand, especially if the Fed can't control it. So they kind of need to start doing this to kind of rein this in, because economy where everything is getting really expensive and inflating prices seems good at first because the economy's run red hot. But imagine if you had a car and you were just running it red hot. Eventually, it's going to break down, right? Eventually, it's going to stop running. This is not how you do things. So there's really a big debate right now about this, but I think the signals are starting to change, and that we're going to start raising interest rates, making debt more expensive to borrow. We're going to be trimming off the easy money policy, so we're not going to be pumping as much money into the economy. And I think we're pretty much done with stimulus. There's a whole other story about Joe Biden's plans for entitlements and basically the $7 trillion budget, but that ties into $30 trillion debt that we have, and that'll be a whole other conversation about the existence and value of money and debt and just the insanity of borrowing against ourselves into the future for the hopes of making today better and
So,
selfishly political party, bias.
so for the signal of higher interest rates, which markets are going to be affected the most by this?
Interest rates eat away at dollar gains and they eat away tech. So big, very overpriced things get hit first, like technology. So like they become the things that are very expensive that are going to increase in value because they're harder to import the pieces for. They're going to take a lot of that inflation is going to get baked out to the customer. That that is inflation. So your big hits. You're going to see things that are expensive, big trips, leisure. You're going to see um, people buying less or buying more, in a more stable way. But that might not happen in the next year or two. That's the thing. With all this stimulus spending and the fact that we're getting out of this pandemic, people want to go outside. They want to spend. They want to have fun. They want to live their lives again. They might not be so afraid to pay that extra 5, 6% on something. You know what I mean? They might not really notice or care because they got stimulus money, or they're free now. There's just this momentum and this emotional kind of resurgence, which could blur things. You know what I mean? People might not really be, you might not see so many signs. You just have to watch the prices of things. And again, the problem right now, the hardest problem is that even though these signals are here and we see these things, and I'll be talking about these things, we don't really see the markets and the economy behaving in the same way we would expect. And that's the scariest part. So it's hard to make, determinations on these things because, we could go on for another year or two, some people suggesting, with this kind of, short-term growth, and then before we actually hit a wall and have any real problems. And it's kind of hard to tell because I think we're in an area where we have many, many, many overvaluations, and we were taking out lots of debt, and the economy took a big hit, but nothing is really slowing down, and we're accelerating, and that to me is a big red flag. Like we're moving so fast, I don't even think we can see the ground. We're just flying, and I don't know when. I'm not that. I hope I can get good enough to figure it out, but something eventually this has to come to a head. You have to reconcile all this, and I hope it's not with everything coinciding into one giant drop, and then we look back on a depression and say like, wow, that was ridiculous, and then everybody says it's a black swan event, but we keep having like every 5 years we have like 2 or 3 black swan events. So I don't know how you keep calling them black swan events because they keep happening more and more often. Black swan event is like a once in a lifetime thing. Like 2008 was supposed to be a black swan event. That thing will never happen again. Okay, but what happened in 1999? What happened to the flash crashes and the oil crashes between 2010 and 2015, 2016. What's happening now with this amount of inflation on these assets? I guess if it never comes back down, but that would scare me more. If this stuff never came back down and just kept going and nothing happened for years, that would make me even more nervous. Because I thought before the pandemic we were on a long bull market and we needed some market corrections, and then it's just like bouncing, just shoot to the moon. I, so we're definitely gonna be covering this stuff more often.